Okay, I have a screenwriting program here to review. It's for Mac OS 10, it's not on Windows, and it's for writing your screenplays and scripts, etc. It's very minimalistic, and this is a startup screen. We can create a new blank screenplay, we can open one we've previously made, we can use a template or learn more about Slugline. Let's see what's under Use a Template. We have a beat sheet, we have adaptations title page, we have a 3-act structure, 90 page, 96 page, 100 pages, 120 pages, or a TV pilot for a teaser and 4 acts. This is quite good. It's quite good. It's got these various templates, and it is a nice little addition. I would like to see even more templates, such as various styles, such as BBC drama, BBC film, things like that. I'd like to see a few more, like some other programs do have, but it's not 100% necessary anyway. So it's really a bonus feature. What does it say? Fountain templates. Well, this program uses a markup language to construct your screenplays called Fountain, which is specially designed for screenplays. And you don't have to know, well, that's one of the good things about this program, Slugline, is you don't have to know all the markup language rules, things like that. It does detect, it's very smart, and it detects what you're trying to do. Are you making a scene heading or a character or dialogue, and it sort of formats it as it goes along. Whereas some other Fountain programs that use that, you have to actually know the markup, the various symbols and stuff like that to stylize it. You don't with this. And the good thing about a Fountain file is that it's basically just a plain text file. So any scripts you make with Slugline, you can open that file. It's not a proprietary format like, say, .fdx or whatever, various things like Word documents or whatever, PDFs, whatever you want. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, it's basically all it is a plain text document with certain various sort of markup in it, so that the program, such as Slugline, knows how to lay it out. So you don't have to use Slugline to open the various files you've created in Slugline. You can open it in, say, TextEdit. You can open it in Word. You can open it in any program that supports plain text documents. So you could actually even give your file a .txt extension, and it will work in any program. So it's quite future-proof and very compatible with different operating systems, different programs. That is the main bonus. Well, that's the main point to creating a document using Fountain instead of instead of just saving it as a PDF or various other formats. That is very handy. So we can go to File and we can create a new from template here, which basically just gets you back to that. We can create a new document. We can open one if we've already been working on one. We can save and all the basic stuff you'd expect here. We also got document settings I'll show you later. We can send to Highland, and Highland is a similar program to Slugline, except Slugline is more about converting between formats, such as from a final draft document to a Fountain document or vice versa. And this is more about being an actual editor. The advantage Slugline has over Highland is it's almost like creating just in a word processor in a way. It's not what you see, it's what you get. But with Slugline, you just type and it's pretty smart and it formats everything the way you want it. It's pretty clever in knowing when you're creating a scene heading and it formats it as a scene heading, or when it's a character, it formats it and pushes it over where it needs to be for a character. So let's create a new blank document. Okay, now this looks really basic. It's just a plain piece of paper, and we can leave it like this, or we can put it full screen. So what is so great about this over, say, doing it in a word processor, especially if you already know a bit about markup, Fountain markup? Well, let's start typing and see what happens, okay? Now I'm going to do a fade in. Nothing special about that. I'm going to make a couple spaces here. Now I'm going to start writing EXT for exterior. This is for a scene heading. Look, there we go. Started typing it in all capitals, and it immediately picked up. Well, it looks like you're probably going to be typing a scene heading here. Is it an EXT dot for exterior, or it gives you other options? In this case, it's just a couple. I can then hit enter. There we go. Or let's just do that again. I can start typing, then I can hit tab and write the rest of it, such as alleyway, and it knows it's all capital, so I'm not holding down shift, and I haven't got the caps lock on because it knows this is a scene heading now. It knows it has to all be capitals. Then I can put afternoon, then hit space. Now, oh, and I've actually misspelt that. Now I've put moon instead of noon. Well, it does support spell checking, so it's highlighted it red. We can right click, get our suggestions here, select the one you want, and it's corrected. So it does support the Mac's internal spell checker. So now what if we wanted a character name? Well, we can press caps, have caps on, or hold down shift, type a character name such as Kevin or whatever, hit enter, and then it's formatted it as a character name because it was all in caps, so it presumed, well, this is probably what you're going to be wanting to do. Okay, now, because it's basically using its common sense now, it knows that we have just made a character, so it's going to presume that the next thing after a character name is going to be dialogue. So it's formatted this line already, just straight away ready to go as dialogue. Now, yes, you might want to use a parentheses and type something like he's grinning, he's, you know, put in brackets that he's smiling or grinning when he says it, or doing some sort of action. Well, you can, but it's going to presume for now, until you put some brackets there, that you are just going to want dialogue. So we can now say, he says, hello, world. Then we can hit enter. Then it's going to just put a generic action line there, and we can type action such as somebody walks through a door. In fact, let's put that. Man walks in, not exactly Shakespeare, but it gets a point across. Now the next line is once again just action, but it depends what we put in, and it will be quite smart and figure it out. So for instance, if we type cut to, well, I didn't actually even type a couple letters, I just put a capital C, and immediately it realized that this is probably going to be a cut to. Now if it isn't, I can carry on typing and change it to something else, but if I meant cut to, I can just hit enter, and it saves so much time, because I have used some other screenwriting programs, and you have to be conscious all the time of the formatting. You having to format it yourself, you're at least having to select, say, the header, and then press a keyboard shortcut to tell it that it's a scene heading. I didn't do any of that with this. I just typed. It takes a formatting right out of your hands. Well, it isn't out of your hands. You can do it. You can change it how you want, but you don't have to be conscious of it. You can just be a writer. You can write and you can type and get on with it. And the formatting is, for the most part, going to be done correctly every time for you. And that is the biggest thing to this. It's a nice clean interface that lets you just type and forget about the formatting pretty much. Now, if we want to make something bold or italic, we can select it. We can press a keyboard shortcut, or we can right click, go down to bold, italic, underline, or uppercase. We can also do things like force that line to be a transition. This is in case the program isn't smart and it makes a mistake. So say you have some dialogue and it is insisting this is not a dialogue, this is a scene heading or whatever, you can force it to be a dialogue instead of a scene heading or whatever the program has made a mistake with. I haven't really had that. I find the program gets it right every time. But in case you need it, you can force it to be that line to be an action line or a character name or transition or scene dialogue. Here, this is where you can do dual dialogue with two people speaking simultaneously. You can make a note and omit. Now, omitting something is so you don't have to delete it. If you want it there for reference, you can tell it to omit it so it's still there in the file, but when you print it or save it as a PDF, it's not in the final document that you're printing, it's just there in the editable copy. Now, if we right click and go bold, it has now put 2 asterisks on each side of that word. That is the markup in Fountain that's telling the program this is bold, and that's the way it's going to be saved in the file if you were to edit the file in, say, a text editor. But don't worry about that. If we preview, it's bold, but the markup there doesn't show in your final printed document or your PDF. That is great. Also, what that tells you is if you didn't want to right click, you didn't want to press a keyboard shortcut, you didn't want to select it from a right-click menu, you can just, as you type, if you just want to get on with typing and you don't like to remember shortcuts and right-click and all that, you can manually type this yourself. You could type 2 asterisks, the word you want, walks, or multiple words, a couple more asterisks, and everything between those 2 asterisks on each side would be bold, even if it's more than one word. Anything between that will be bold. Now, what about if we want other things such as italic? Italic is just 1 asterisk on each side. And if we want underline, it is, I'm not sure if you can see that, it is 2 of those. Okay. And if we want uppercase, the no markup shows for uppercase, it just changes the letters from lowercase to uppercase. Now, what if we wanted to make something bold and italic? Well, we can go bold, and we can go italic, and that has put 3 asterisks on each side. And so if you want to make something bold and italic at the same time, you can just write 3 asterisks, or you can right click, select each one, or there are keyboard shortcuts for it as well. Now, again, if we go to preview, that doesn't show, the asterisks don't show, none of that shows. It's just formatted how you'd like to see it. We can then hit print, which gets a very basic sort of OS 10 dialog up for printing, and we can preview the document here. We can make it 2-sided, all the things you'd expect. Now, what if you want to save your document as a PDF, which is something you've got to want to do a lot if you're sharing it with somebody, especially if you are working for a company and you need to share it with producers or whatever it might be. Well, there's no option here. Save as. There is just a fountain document, which is what you're going to want to save it as mostly. That's what I tend to use, or a plain text.txt document. Well, what about PDF? Well, you would think it might be under save as or export, but there's nothing there for that. So you go to preview, you go to print. Then when we print this, instead of printing it, we select down here, save as PDF. So we're saving it as a PDF from the print dialog, like you can in some other programs as well. To be honest, I would also personally like to see it under save as well from this drop down here. I think it'd make a bit more sense and be a bit more obvious for people who are new to the program. Now let's have a look at some of the menu options. We have preferences and we don't have preferences. This is basically just a joke. I prefer writing, and you hit agree. There are no preferences. We have about, and at the time of making this review, this is the latest version that's been released, 1.2.2. From the file menu, we have our new from template, open, and that's where we can select our fountain document that we saved before, close, save as, send to Highland if we have it installed. And Highland was created by one of the creators of Fountain, and so was Slugline. One of the creators then went on to create Slugline, and the other went on to create Highland. And, well, what's the difference? Well, Slugline does all this I've just shown you. It will format a document as you type, and it takes all that sort of conscious decision of formatting out of your hands, really. You can just type and get on with it and forget about any of the other silliness. Highland doesn't do that, which is a little annoying, I think. And Highland's aim is to convert documents from one format to another. Well, what if you do need to do that? What if you need to type something in this, but then share it as a final draft document? I'll go into a little bit later on. It's not impossible, just not directly from this program. Okay, then we have here document settings. We can tell it to make the scene headings bold by default, underline scene headings by default. That's on by default. This is off by default. 2 lines before a scene heading or not, that is off by default. I just leave most of these on default. Character continued. We can have continued put after characters. We can include outline elements. I'll show you a bit more about that later. And we can use either, a lot of people write screenplays in Courier font. Well, there's a new font made with the aim of being used for screenwriters called Courier Prime, which is a new one, and this comes with it and supports it. It's off by default. I don't know why, but I would prefer to just use it. So remember, if you create a new document, it will be off by default. So go to File, Document Settings, and select it here. Now it's turned on, and if we go back, you can see that it is turned on. And even though it saves these as basically plain text documents, when we save this and open it again, it will remember that you are using that font, which is handy. You have page setup, which is just for print options like the orientation, things like that. Edit is a very standard generic edit menu. You cut, copy, paste, select, or things like that from there. Format, bold, we can do italic, underline, uppercase, which was from the right click menu. And to do that on a keyboard, it's Command B for bold, Command I for italics, Command U for underlined, and Command K for uppercase. And that is the same in most word processing documents. I believe it's probably the same in Microsoft Word. I believe it would be Command B, Command I, and Command U for bold, italic, and underline. So if you're used to using shortcut keys to do things like bold and italic, you'll be right at home with the way this program works. You have your note and omit from there. You have dual dialogue. You can center your text in the middle of the page from here. That I didn't see it on the right click menu, but you can do it from here, and there's a shortcut. Insert a page break from here. We can add a title page, which I'm just do a sec. Now, when you create a title page, it adds at the top of the first page when you're editing it. It won't look like that, I promise you, on the preview, so don't worry if you don't like that style. You create the title here, such as my title. Then you can put your name. Then you can put the date. By default, which is very handy, the draft date is set to the day you're doing this, the day you created the document. So it's the 28th of February. So it's put the 28th of February in. So that will save a few seconds at least of typing. Then contact, you can put your contact details in here. You can put your just your email address, or you could put your actual physical address. And you can create new lines, because it looks like here this is just a one-line dialogue. Well, how would you type your whole address? Well, you can type in more than one line for your contact, so don't worry about that. So let's just put anything here a minute. Okay, then this is just gobbledygook. But then if we go to preview, well, it's not there. That is because you can scroll up with your mouse wheel, and there you go. It's its own page, and it will print like that, and it will be a separate page in your PDF as well. So then you have your title by your name at the center of the page. Then at the bottom left, you have the draft date and your address or email address, whatever it is you put under contact at the bottom left there. Then you can scroll down and start seeing your actual work from there. So it is done a little bit differently. In the edit view, it's not on its own page like you might expect in some other programs. Some other programs do it like that, but from this, it's at the very top of your first page, but it won't look like that when you've printed, when you have exported as a PDF, whatever, it will be its own page. So don't worry about the way it looks there. From format, we can also do our force. We can force it as a scene, heading, a transition, a character, action from there. We can show outline, so let's do that. Now, we don't have much in this list here. That is because we only have the one scene heading, so we only have the one scene. But if we had multiple scenes, they would show up here, and that you can do other formatting using the outline by using things like notes. It's a bit beyond this review. If you go to the help menu, you can look at help to find out how to do some of this stuff like outlining. You hit outline, it'll come up with its own window telling you about how to outline your document. But I think that's important for you to know. You can do outlining from within this program. So it also, just to show you, if we do an int and do blah, 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 day, whatever, there you go. It's in the list, and we can switch between them. So if this was on, say, page 1, this is a good way of navigating your document. Say this was on page 1, this was on page 90. By clicking that, we jump straight to page 90. So it's a quick way of navigating as well using outlining. We can hide outlining from here. It's also Command 3 on the keyboard. From view, we can view full screen, which is the same as clicking the green button. We can preview, which is the same as clicking preview down here. We can go to actual size. We can go to bigger or smaller. or actual size, and it just sort of changes how far zoomed in you are on the page. We can jump from previous to next scene heading, which is similar to what we're doing in the outlining mode. Then we have previous and next section. View is very standard view. Bring all windows to the front, zoom, minimize, select different windows. If you have multiple windows open, they'll be listed here. And your help, and you can contact the company from here as well. Now, what about converting? Because what if you have a lot of people use Final Draft, which isn't for everybody because it costs, I think it's about £150. That is a lot of money. So if you're a real professional, maybe paying something like that would be worth it, or maybe the company you work for may pay for it for you. But for the average person, especially an indie filmmaker or somebody who's just doing it as a hobby, that is just out of the question from a lot of people. So what if, though, you want to use a cheaper program such as Slugline, Highland, Montage, whatever, and then you want to go from Slugline to a Final Draft format for given to people maybe in it, actually professionals in the industry or whatever, or vice versa. What if somebody in the industry gives you a format, gives you a file in Final Draft format, and you need to edit it and you don't have Final Draft and you have Slugline? Then what they recommend, and I would recommend it actually too, is you go to help, and it tells you under, I think it's exporting and printing. Yeah, here we go. Screenplane. Screenplane is a free web service that converts fountain files to FDX. So if you go to screenplane.com, you can even select it from this, hit Command C or right click, copy it, and open a browser. This is a website that we will look at in a minute of the Slugline program. Let's go to Screenplane. Okay, you just select the file. And this is a fountain document that, as you see, it ends in .fountain. And we can then export it as a Final Draft .fdx proprietary file format for Final Draft, or we can, this is quite neat, you can select HTML and convert it to a HTML document that's all formatted with character names justified, to sort of the center there with the dialogue underneath, and everything's formatted just like you see it in the preview on Slugline here. It will look just like it is here, but it'll be a HTML file that you can upload to your website, which is very handy. So if you really have to use FDX, then, well, maybe you'd want another program that does it out of the box, that does it from within the program. I would perhaps advise that if you are somebody who is working with the format a lot. If you're some sort of professional that is working with Final Draft documents day in, day out, maybe then you want to consider another program other than Slugline that can actually import and export Final Draft from within the program. But what if you're somebody that either thinks they're not going to need to import and export Final Draft, or they are perhaps, or you're perhaps going to need to export as FDX or HTML once every really rarely. What if you might need it but not very often? Then why not get Slugline, because it is a good program and it makes writing very clean and quick. And then use this website here, screenplane.com, when you need it. I don't see why you can't do that. Now let's have just a quick look at their website. You can buy it from the Mac App Store. If you click that, it will open up the Mac App Store. It's $30. Or, and we'll see in a minute, I've forgotten the price in the UK. I just saw it, the £22.99, which I believe is the same price as Highland. So price isn't going to come into it when you're choosing between those two. I haven't used Highland personally, but I do know that it doesn't automatically format your document as you go along like that, so that might not be what you want. I like how quick and easy it is. You just open the program, it's very minimalistic, and you just start typing and it's all formatting along as along the way, and it's so quick. It really puts a program out of the way, the formatting out of the way, and just let just lets you use your imagination and start typing the screenplay. Makes it so quick and easy to use. And there is a free trial, which I think is really great. I don't believe Highland has a trial, but this one has a free trial. You just hit this button here from their website, and the website will be in the description. Download it and give it a try. If you hate it when you use a trial, don't waste your money. But if you find that it is as interesting as it looks in this video or whatever, then you can just download a trial and make absolutely sure before you spend out any money. And I really like it when programs have trials, and I always recommend to my viewers that you download a trial, even if it program from this video looks like the greatest thing you ever seen or whatever. Still, always download a trial first and give it a personal try yourself. So there is a trial on the website, and I recommend that. It says no buttons, no settings, just right. And that is the thing I've been really bragging up about this. It automatically formats your document to the industry standards. It's everything you need to create a submission quality screenplay and nothing you don't. So you just type and forget about it. Just don't worry about it. Just start typing and it will be done for you. And it's very sort of simple. There you go. You can outline as you go, which I've briefly covered. It's just text. Some reviews here, even from the actor and writer Stephen Fry. You might not know him if you're in another country such as America, but he is a huge actor in Britain. He's very well known, and he writes some of his stuff as well. And apparently he uses Slugline. And there's some little review things there from various other people. Simple inside and out. You get your suggestions from a drop down. You can use a keyboard to select it or use your mouse. Courier Prime. And a link to the website for more information on their website. And here's basically a quick list of the things. It's used by Hollywood screenwriters on real projects, and it includes several templates. I've mentioned that. Accurate pagination, full screen mode, spell checking and dictionary, find and replace, autosave, dual dialogue that actually works. It's been optimized for retina displays, so if you're on something like a MacBook Pro which has a retina display, or one of the newer bigger iMacs which have a retina display, then it is optimized to look good on a retina display. And check out what's new in our latest updates from that little link there. I can't remember if I mentioned this when I showed you the welcome screen, but recent documents that you've opened will be shown on a list to the right. So if you've recently made a document in it, you don't have to hit open and browse the file every time. If you made a file, then come back to it the next day, it should be in this list here, and you can just click on it, which saves a few steps. And as I said, it's $30 or about £23 in UK. There is a free trial. It requires 10.8 OS 10 or later. So what do I think? I love it. I've reviewed another program. I don't think I should really mention it because I'm not really talking about other programs. This is a review for Slugline, but I have used another program previously for screenplay writing, and I liked it. There's nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't as quick to write your script because it didn't format it so smartly. It wasn't so intelligent and quickly change things to scene headings and dialogue, etc. This is so fast and simple. The biggest problem I have with other program is it hasn't been updated. It hasn't had a single update, even though it's still for sale since 2011. So it's been about 5 years now without a single update, which puts me off recommending it, because what if you buy it and it stops working on the latest operating system and it's never updated? So I find it impossible to recommend it now, knowing that it's been so long since it's been updated. Maybe it will get another update. Maybe we'll get an update soon, but at this stage, I can't recommend it. This one, on the other hand, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head the date it was last updated, but I think it was the 17th of February this year. So it's only been about, it might have even only been about a week ago. It hasn't been long since it's been updated. I can't remember exactly when off the top of my head, but it has been recently updated this year, just a week or two ago. So this is constantly updated. It's used by people like Stephen Fry. It's used by people in the industry. It's clean and simple. It makes it so quick. I love how quick it is to just forget about the formatting, type, use your imagination, start typing, get on with it. You don't have to keep remembering, oh, whoops, this isn't a scene heading, this is plain text or it's action, I need to right click, I need to press Command 3, Command 5, whatever. You don't really have to think about the formatting, you just get on with it. Highland, that's also done by one of the creators of Fountain Markup. I can't recommend that for a couple of reasons. One, from everything I've heard, it doesn't format it as you go along, and it might look very plain here when you edit in it, then you preview it and it will look great, but you'd have to kind of know the formatting, at least that's my understanding. Also, I haven't personally tried Highland. There is not, as far as I'm aware, I don't believe there is a trial of Highland. So this one, I've personally used it and I love it, and also there's a trial available that I can recommend you go and get straight away if you're interested in this program. So out of all the screenwriting editors I have used so far, I recommend this one, Slugline, the most. The only thing I will say to you is it's lacking in power a little bit when it comes to features. It's very minimalistic. So for example, you can show, and I've only got one page here, so it's not a good demo, but in preview mode, you can show the page number. So you could have this one, page 1, then page 2, which is good. That is great. But in some other programs I've used, you can edit the headers and footers. You can go to, I think it's something like file, page settings, something like that on other programs, and you can customize your header and footers. You can't with this, which I would like to see added. I would like to be able to add things like the script title and the author name to the footer along with the page number. I've done that in another program. I think that would be handy. You also you can export as PDF, but only from the print screen. I think it would be good to be a bit more out in the open and have it under save as or export or something like that. But apart from that, even though it doesn't have all these huge features that some others may have, such as outlining your character and writing your character's personality in a separate tab, and various other breakdown bits of breaking down the scenes with descriptions separately to sort of plot your story or whatever. This isn't about that. This isn't a program really for plotting your story or plotting your characters. That is really quite a separate topic, and sometimes I feel when screenwriting programs add these features, it makes a program a bit bloated and bulky, and it gets in the way, the interface gets in the way, it's a bit of a distraction, it's just not necessary, because I don't really do that with a screenwriter. With a screenwriting program, I just want to write the script, create a title page, and that's about it, and that's exactly what this does, and it gets out of your way when it comes to formatting, and it's great. It saves so much time using this program. But I just do want to point that out, that some of the customization options aren't there, such as I can't find a way to add things like your title and author to the footer, just page numbers. I would like a bit more of those sort of options added. So that is something to bear in mind. But like I say, download the trial, see if it does what you want. I personally recommend it. It's my at this time it's my #1 screenwriting software. So a link will be in the description to the website. Please try out a trial and try it out for yourself. Thanks for watching. Please like and comment, and if you can do me a huge favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as it just takes a few seconds and will help me out a lot. Thanks.